What's going on, y'all? So look, first of all, before we get into this video, let's just say and have a moment of silence for Thomas Malik Ford, aka Tommy, Tommy from Martin, Tommy, the daddy off of Kim Parker's daddy on the Parkers. He was on Class Act, he was on House Party, he was on just about, was he on House Party? Bitch, he was on every goddamn thing, okay? But he was admitted to the hospital down in Atlanta Sunday for a stomach aneurysm that ruptured, and then he was on life support all that time. And they thought he was going to get better, but his health was just declining. And so today, they finally decided to take him off life support. Um, I just want to say that looking at Martin would never be the same. Because, those characters was like family if you grew up and you watched them back in the day. It's just very sad. It's very sad. 2016 is fucking with us and he told us it's not done. You got 2 more months plus a couple of more weeks, okay? We're not done. Ain't no telling who else gonna get taken out. Bitch, I'm tired. I'm tired. Okay, we're gonna move on. We're gonna move on. Let's moment of silence. Okay, RIP. RIP. We gotta get that out of my system. Okay. So, Empire, season 3. Episode 4, Cupid Kills. All right, this was actually an okay, good episode, and that ending took me out because I didn't see that shit coming at all. Talk about being blindsided. I said, "Bitch, where did that come from?" But anyway, we start the episode off with Lucius and Andre rolling around the hood in the Rolls Royce and all that stuff, and I'm like, "Where the fuck y'all going?" Girl, they going over there to Shine's little hideout, his spot where he do all his shit at, and his own home little studio, whatever. And so Shine got Vanessa up in there singing and shit. At this point in time, Andre gets out the car and he's like, "Oh my God, what is that?" You hear Vanessa singing, and Lucius was like, "Oh, you didn't hear her. You wasn't there when she doing the live stream when she took over and we unleashed this beast or whatever." He was like, "That's only something that a black woman can give you. A black woman could do." I was like, because it was a lot of shade in that comment. Even if you don't think it was shade, you have to look deeper. You can look at it as if, Lucius was trying to comfort Andre and be like, "You should have married a black bitch because that's what it is. I mean, a black woman. Let me stop saying bitch. You should have married a black woman, okay? Because he really wasn't never fond of Rhonda, okay? Because she was white." We got that in like the first season. He didn't take to Rhonda like that. But and look how they treat her after her death. Not even a goddamn mention, okay? They couldn't even put in memory of. I was just like, goddamn, can we see the obituary? No, because there is none. But so he going through that, and also because that soul, that R&B, that's that talent, that's that rawness that we looking for. And so what? Hold up. Hold up. They don't like you like I like you. Don't slow down. Girl, what the fuck is this? But anyway, somebody said a threesome with ghosts. Oh yes. Oh yes. Okay, that's what it was. Pause. Let's go back. You see when people, let me turn my phone off. Okay. No more interruptions. Y'all like, bitch, if you don't get on. I apologize. It's just been a hectic day, okay? So they get to Shine thing. They trying to sign the contract or whatever, sign Nessa to Empire. Child, Shine was like, "Okay, this is what we gonna do." And you just know at this point in time, from when he first came on the scene in last season, that Shine is not to be trusted. And he showed that right now. Okay. He went in and said, no, he's not gonna go ahead and sign to Empire for Vanessa. It's gonna be a bidding war, okay? We seen all that talent. You told us, Lucius, that all these people are coming after her, whatever. So why not put a bidding war? Bitch, he opened up that window, and it's a room full of record executives and head of record labels all up in there. You got a fake ass Russell Simmons with the vest and the checkered shirt on and the baseball cap. We had a fake ass Rick Ross from a fake ass MMG up in there. We just had a fake ass a whole bunch of people up in there. And Lucius looking like, ain't this about a bitch? So he upset, and they was like, you get like 15 hours or 24 hours, whatever the fuck it was. Shine did give him a time frame or whatever to come up with the best deal between them and everything. So they finna literally go through a bidding war. So they get back to Empire. Lucius is pissed off at hollering at Becky, talking about some, why didn't you sign Nessa? Why didn't you lock it down? Why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? She was like, first of all, bitch, don't call me out my name, because I forget. I think he called her bonehead or some shit like that. She said, don't call me out my name. That's the one thing that you won't do, bitch, okay? I've been down for you forever in a day. But what you won't do is call me out my name, okay? You won't disrespect me because I did not disrespect you. Second of all, ain't nobody here being A&R to sign this shit. That's not in my job qualifications, and nobody gave me that title, which I'm still fucking waiting on, okay? And so Cookie come in trying to diffuse the situation, and instead of her whole thing is like, okay, well, we got this guy that's gonna be A&R. He just came aboard. This boy named Xavier, whatever. At this moment in time, Becky is over it, because the last time we seen Becky in that scene with J Papa said he was moving from Empire because Empire was a sinking ship, okay? But you should come. They not even looking at you for this A&R position, and sure enough, they hired somebody outside to come in. Becky was fucking over it, all right? I would have been over it too, okay? So, you know, they get that all settled up, and um at this moment in time, not Lucius, Cookie Cookie is in her feelings because Angelo hasn't called. Lucius throwing it up in her face. Angelo ain't shit. You over there throwing our clients away for some dick or whatever that ain't even gonna come through and all this shit. And Portia, who told Portia to put that lipstick on? I have no clue, but it did not work when she was sucking on that lollipop. And this whole time they was asking, where the fuck is Angelo? Angelo ain't did this. Angelo ain't did that. Cookie come out into the lobby, and we see these little kids. They was like, Miss Cookie, can we play you a song? And they start singing and playing their little recorders and triangles and little xylophones and shit. I was like, these little kids are cute. And here come, I said, only one nigga corny enough to do some shit like this. Tay Diggs. And he looked corny in real life. Angelo comes out. He was like, see, I want to invite you to see one of my favorite singers, G or whatever, at this spot. Okay. So she was like, cool, fine, we gonna go. Portia get it mixed up. I think he said one place, Portia put it in another place, and so therefore Cookie is sitting here trying to figure out, what type of outfit should she wear and all this stuff. She's going crazy. We see the new Xavier up in there trying to give her tips and all this stuff. Cookie also had a flashback to her dad, and because she was also talking to Portia, and she was saying that Angelo do reminds him of a guy that she was with back in the day. And we see this flashback with her father, who told her, you don't need to be with Lucifer Lyons or whatever you call his name. I said, bro, you had it right, because he proven to be the fucking devil. But you need to be with somebody who got their minds on the right track. You going to Howard. You need to be in the medical school or whatever, because Carol, she ain't as smart as she thinks she is. No, Candace, she ain't as smart as she thinks she is, okay? And Carol, she's just gonna have a hard time, period, all right? We resting it on your shoulders, Loretta, okay? Loretta, you the one, okay? So don't fuck it up for us. That's basically what he was trying to tell her. But of course, we saw what happened. She goes ahead and she falls for Lucifer. You know what I'm saying? And at this point, Lucius is getting all up in her head about Angelo. He's not being there. He's not this. He's not from your world. He's not gonna be able to adapt to you when I'm always here and all this stuff and yada yada yada. What's mine? He got this whole mentality that once you were mine, you're always mine. Ain't no take backs, no go away to nobody else. Regardless of if I fuck up or not, you still gonna be mine, okay? So, Andre and Lucius had this scene. Basically, we get Andre is coming back to the Andre that we saw in season 1, all right? He's about to go through all these stumping changes or whatever in order to get Nessa to sign to Empire. Okay, he's coming back because at the end, you know, when he walked out and Lucius was like, "There go Andre, there go the old Andre, welcome back," and all that stuff. The expression on his face, like at first he was pissed, and then it turned into a creepy ass smile, and I was confused. I said, I forgot he still wants daddy love, okay, and all that shit. But I will tell y'all this. I'm gonna have to give Empire this. Child, y'all know I like a nice ass, whether it's a man or a female. And Andre, you know, I think they've been listening to the tweets, well, looking at the tweets and stuff like that, because they keep giving us close-ups of Andre's ass or little shots, angles of the. Andre has the perfect bubble butt, and I can tell he wears boxer briefs. Okay, I can tell it. I can tell it through them pants. I was like, damn, god damn, cakes upon cakes. I see why Rhonda wanted that shit. All right, you know, so we get this scene with Jamal going back to the prison to visit Freda, and he got the counselor dude too with him. She was like, you know, maybe I was a little bit too hard on her and all this stuff. And he was like, okay, cool, you know, just gotta calm yourself down, breathe, and it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. Girl, when Freda came out there, my face said, damn, bitch. I was like, who the fuck did this to you? Who did this to do? What you do to her? What you do to her? Get your shit. Let's go. Get your shit. That's what I was like. Ronnie from the Players Club when Junior came out there after he done raped Ebony. I said, bitch, what the fuck you do to her? Okay? She basically was like, I mean, one eye was just puffed up and swollen shut. The other one was red and just the blood vessels just busted out and everything. Child, she was like, apparently you got a whole bunch of fans up in here, okay, and they don't like the fact that I fucked around and accidentally shot your ass. And you know, he trying to say I apologize and I'm sorry and I forgive you when all this stuff, and they kind of make amends and blah blah blah. So eventually what winds up happening with that whole thing is Jamal does not feel right about the fact that um Freda is in there. Freda is in there, especially after seeing her that way. So therefore, he wants to get her out. He in talking to Lucius, or he talked to somebody, and they basically was saying she can claim, you know, she had a moment of insanity at that moment, and she really wasn't trying to shoot Jamal. So they go to the judge, and the judge was like, are you sure you want her out? And I mean, she shot you, she did this. And the lawyer that was for Lucius was for Freda was like, you know, at that moment in time she was drinking and she had did some pills or whatever, and so it put her in this psychological, she had a breakdown or whatever, and therefore that's what happened. She lost it, she didn't know what was going on, she was temporarily insane and temporarily just fucked up. All right. And then you have Jamal speaking on her behalf, saying that, you know, yes, she shot me, but I get to go home and recuperate in a townhouse while she's up in this little cell or whatever. That's not fair. And so because of that, the judge said, okay, you can get out on bail. You know, the prosecutor wasn't here for it, but hey, it happened. Girl, at the end of the episode, we get this scene where Lucius talking to Jamal was like, oh, you just like me, son. It was like, I like how you got the doctor to sign off, and you paid off that doctor to sign off and say that Freda was temporarily insane, and you know she had these psychological issues now and stuff. So now you know that works in my favor. So if anything come up, they ain't gonna believe the bitch when she said the shit about you know, I had her father killed and all this shit. They not gonna believe her and everything. And Jamal is looking like, wait a minute, what? And it was like, oh yeah, Freda was in on this shit too. She played that shit good when I told her, you know, sent them motherfuckers out there to whoop her ass. She knew exactly what to say. I said, so you mean to tell me, Freda, I'm sitting here like, bitch, what the fuck happened? What they do to you? And you was in on this shit too? Now it's Lucius. Now it's fucking Lucius. Because he could be lying, but then again, it's Lucius, and I believe that he did set this shit up, and I believe Freda was in on that shit too. I said all this so she can get the fuck out. She knew what she was doing. I said that is why Lucius was here for Freda in the first damn place, because she was just like him. She was easy prey, and he manipulated the fuck out of her. God damn. I said, ain't this some shit? Jamal looking like, it ain't finna go down like that, bitch. It ain't finna go down like that, bro. I'm thinking he finna bust this nigga across his head or some shit. It didn't happen. The tension that was between them, it just felt like Jamal was gonna strike his ass. Finally, it never happened. It never happened. the last scene with Jamal that we really see, he's in his apartment and he's talking to the counselor dude, and he's saying, well, at least I came up with this song, I'm singing a little bit or something, and he was like, it's gonna be okay, you working it out, you was able to see Freda, it's fine. And he was like, well, I'll see you later. I said, okay, see him later then, go into his bedroom, don't go out the door, comfort him that way. Jamal has a nigga every fucking season, y'all realize that, okay? But Jamal was about, when the guy was leaving out, he turned around and he saw Jamal taking them pills and he was about to drink alcohol with it to wash it down. And he was like, you shouldn't be taking alcohol with those. And he was like, you right, you right. And he took the pills out. I mean, what was the point in taking the pill out instead of just getting up and go get some water? No, as soon as old boy left, he put the pills back in his mouth and he washed it down with some alcohol and tried to sing and yodel out something. You know what I'm saying? I said, come on now. Y'all finna make Jamal a pill popper. You finna get over one issue and get onto another. That is fucked up. So we get to Cookie. Oh my God. Cookie, like I said, was trying to find something to wear. She finally settles on something. And at this point earlier, Lucius had told her, you don't know nothing about this guy, Angelo. He is the type of person that get these women and that he used them for his advantage. If he has a charity or if he has this or that, he used them as props, basically. That's what he was saying. I mean, he's just using your ass, okay? He gonna get what he want out of you and he just gonna drop you. And I said, bitch, just like you. And sure the fuck enough, Cookie settles on this red dress with this panda purse, okay? Blinged out panda purse, and it's like a little club thing. She didn't know that where she was going, she needed to dress up. Okay, now Tay Diggs, aka Angelo, could have told her that it was a black and white formal event or whatever, black tie event. She would have known. Okay, but Portia was the one who mixed up the locations, because the location that Portia looked up was in fucking Atlanta. Bitch, y'all up in New York. Okay, so they go up in there, all these women in their gowns and all this stuff in their tuxedos, the men in tuxes and stuff like that. So she's feeling extremely out of place. I'm sitting here having a flashback because that's how I felt when I went to Tyler's house and I showed up in some shorts and they was all dressed up in dresses and shit like that. I said, well, damn, what, goddamn, I'm finna fucking go, but Tay was like, what you doing? No, 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 no. You gonna stay. You gonna stay. You gonna stay. And so when she come in, of course, all eyes on her because she's dressed inappropriately for that event. And it wasn't her fault though, And then it's these two women come up there and they're talking to her. I'm like, oh my God, Angelo, how you doing? Sabrina is this and Sabrina is that. And you doing this and you doing that. And it was like, okay, hello, this is Cookie. They come from this and you have a house in the Hamptons and all this stuff. And she was like in Connecticut and shit like that. She was like, no, I've been up in Connecticut in the women's facility, the directional jail. I was like, wait a minute. She put it out there in a way she made it sound as if it was some, fancy place, correctional facility and all that shit. They caught on to what she meant because they was just trying to throw out their shit, what they do, and vacation here and vacation there. And then Tay Diggs did say they was from Jack and Jill Society and shit like that. And bitch, I read up on the Jack and Jill, okay? They some bougie, I ain't gonna say all of them, but it's for bougie black folks, okay? Bougie ass black folks, like them stuffy bougie black folks that think they better, okay? Some of them are like that, some of them aren't, but they were the ones that was like that, okay, on this show. And so they go sit down, we looking at the opera, the song, the show, and it's this lady, her name's Gia. She gets up there and she's singing opera, black, beautiful woman, beautiful voice and everything. And I was just like, oh my God, this is so beautiful. I'm sitting here like mesmerized, just like Cookie. Cookie is just like, what is she saying? And he's telling her, and she's just getting all into it. It's quiet. And she was like, you better sing that shit, bitch. I said, girl, sit your ass down. At that moment in time, I probably would have got up and just went on ahead and left, okay? That would have been my cue to leave, okay? But at that moment, Tay didn't let her leave. She went to the bathroom. Them two bitches was in the bathroom talking shit about her. Like, oh, he just doing this until Sabrina gets through. Like, how long he gonna be with that? She's such a hood rat and all this shit. She came out the bathroom like, you know what? like everybody was saying on Twitter, it was giving you the scene from Baby Kids when the baby mama, his ex, and her friend was in that bathroom talking about old girl, his new boo, and she came out there and blasted their ass and shit like that. That's basically what she did. She washed her hand and she sprinkled some water in their face, and she was like, "Ooh," I was like, "Girl, you scared? You talk so much shit, but you scared because you know that ghetto hood rat bitch gonna bust your ass, okay?" So she just snuck on up out of there. And Angelo at this point was trying to call her, trying to see what was going on and everything. And he winds up talking to Jamal and, saying, "Why don't you just come down to her world? Stop trying to be so stuffy and all this shit." And that's basically what he did. Because Cookie was having this event. They doing all this stuff live streaming. And this whole thing is they need content for the extreme that they have, okay? And we already seen it when Hakeem was going to live stream talking to Shine, trying to sign Vanessa. He said he knows Shine, he knows Vanessa. He got this little repertoire with them so he can give Vanessa the sign. And Lucius was like, "No, I already said Andre gonna do it." And Andre was like, "Let us both go do it." And Lucius said, "Fuck it, whatever. That's what you want to do. That's what you want to do. Go ahead, fine." Hakeem, I knew this shit wasn't gonna work out for him. I just knew it because Hakeem is dumb. Hakeem just does not think things all the way through, okay? You can't just think of the short term, you have to think of long term, especially when it comes to business, especially when it comes to certain characters, all right? You gotta think, if I make this move, what type of move do they make, okay? They possibly can make this move, they can do this, and they can do that, and you need to plan accordingly to just in case you can have all bases covered. Hakeem does not do that because he's very young-minded, all right? So he gets there, they filming his live stream, and it's being shown everywhere, like in Times Square and all that stuff on the big TV screens and everything outside, all this shit. And he's buttering up and saying this little intro that they're gonna say if Vanessa gets on Empire. And Sean was like, "So what you offering? I ain't got no contract or whatever, so I can get the people and I can get that to you in a couple of days." He was like, "No, you can write that shit on a napkin." So he was like, "Okay, cool. Um, Give me a pen or whatever." He pulls out this pen and he writes down something on a napkin. I said, "No, this ain't gonna end well. It's supposed to be between them." I said, "No, no, Shine finna do something slick and grimy." And sure enough, when he gave him the napkin, he looked at it. He gonna open it up and show it to the people and was like, "You see this? 2.5 million. That's what y'all gonna get. That's the price. Y'all gotta come better than that." I said, "Hakeem, you dumb as shit. You should have known." All right. So they doing this whole thing with Cookie. Trying to get some exclusive footage of Tiana, recording her little diss song and performing her diss song. Her thing is she didn't really want to do it because she don't give a fuck about either one. I'm not a piece of shit or a piece of meat between these bitches, okay? That's how y'all acting. You two niggas is acting like bitches and shit. And that's basically what the song was about when she performed it. And it was real cool that Cookie got Gia, the opera singer, to do it. And I was like, this is cute. The opera singer, she stole the show. I didn't give a fuck about what Tiana was saying. All I know, she had that cat suit on and was giving me Janet Jackson. Like, it was giving me Janet Jackson like feedback. It was giving me Janet Jackson on the cover of her that photo that she did for the Velvet Road when she had that little slick cat suit on and she had the nipple ring right there and she had the little curly poofy hair. That's what it was giving me. But other than that, who gives a shit? Okay, of course, here come Lucius. At this point, Angelo's sitting right there and trying to fit in a little bit. Here come Lucius, talking shit, talking about some. Do you want to know why Cookie got the name Cookie? We see this flashback of, Lucius is freestyling and then, talking to Shine. His name was Moonshine. I'm so glad he shortened that shit. And because Moonshine, just shine that shit up, okay? So he doing all that. And then Barry come up in there like, "Loretta, what you doing?" And then here comes Lucius, because Lucius had just told Cookie, "No, you gonna be my Cookie. That's what I'm gonna call you, because you my Cookie," and all this stuff. So that's how she got the name Cookie. And then he was like, "No, it's cool, because Barry was like, I'm just trying to talk to my girlfriend. That's what I'm trying to do." And he was like, "Let's go talk for a second." And so they gonna go outside and whoop his ass. And I said, "Y'all fucked up. Y'all fucked up." And then Cookie, you ain't shit because you could have told Barry what the shit was. You was leading him on and you knew what Lucius was about then, okay? That was not right. And so Lucius sitting there talking to Angelo like, basically what I said at the beginning. No matter what it is, And who comes in between us? I'ma still have Cookie. Okay, you can try all you want to, but you ain't gonna you're not gonna win this. Was Angelo face? Hell no. I said, oh shit, we got somebody that's gonna go up against Lucius. I still don't trust Angelo. I don't trust him. Something about him I do not trust. I really don't. Um the last thing that I want to talk about in this episode was Andre had came up there to see Lucius and was saying how he's gonna get, because he had went to go see Vanessa by herself, and we saw she was in one of Shine's little trap house. She was taking account of the money, and they having this little discussion. And he was like, we gotta be down for the blacks, and you real black. And I just realized how things are for us black folks, and because he had his little experience with the law, and how we gonna be always seen as black folks regardless to anybody. And they was connecting. He was connecting with her to get her to sign. So Lucius was cool with this and all this stuff. He had the contract written up and everything. And at this moment in time, Shine finds out that he went behind his back and was talking to Vanessa without him. So Shine come up there, punch out Andre. Andre was like, no, chill out, Pops. Don't worry about this. Andre took that jacket off and beat Shine's ass for a couple of seconds, okay? Punched him out a couple of seconds. And next thing you know, Shine pulls out a gun. Lucius go get that bat and hit him in his kneecap. Bitch, did you hear Shine when he said, woo? I said, bitch, that shit hurt. Turned into a straight bitch at that moment. And he was like, what you gonna do? You gonna sign this shit now, okay? Because I always fucking win. And Shine said, he spit on that shit like, fuck that. And then Lucius pulled the gun down and said, now sign that shit, bitch. And that's what wound up happening. I said, damn, he done got your ass again. But the shit that took me out at the end was when Hakeem got feelings for Nessa, girl. Okay, Hakeem wants Nessa, bitch. Okay, but Nessa don't want Hakeem. Nessa didn't connect with Hakeem like she connected with Andre. So we saw, okay, she come up there, and next thing you know, she trying to kiss, and he was like, I don't think we should do this. And she was like, oh my God, I know you just lost your wife. And he was like, what? Next thing you know, Rhonda right there, Rhonda. The ghost, Rhonda said she gonna get her checks by any means necessary, bitch. Hallucinations or not, I'm gonna get my checks for all the scenes that I'm still gonna be in season 3. You may have killed me off technically, but I'm still gonna be here, okay? And I rise, and that's exactly what she did. The ghost of Rhonda was encouraging Andre to go through with having sex with Vanessa, and I was just like, oh my God. It was just like a threesome with a ghost, because Rhonda is rubbing on Andre's back and all this stuff, and Andre is just getting it in with Vanessa on the desk. I saw that coming. No, I didn't. No, I didn't. And I said, Poe Hakeem, you still don't think your brother just took your bitch, okay? Girl, that was Empire. Y'all tell me how y'all feel about that. I see y'all later. Peace. Oh, that was so murder. They be going out. Peace. Oh my God. Okay, I gotta go.